Yes, crowd of people. This is Tropical People and Places TV, and this is the Dennery Valley. And as you can see, we do not have seawater and sand in Dennery Valley. What we have is productive agricultural land. That is what we have. That is what we depend on. That is what we have been depending on for decades upon decades. This is our bread basket here. There was a time when agriculture production and the gains that we got from agriculture production was evident and clear. There was a time, some people can remember, where every weekend, every week, a vehicle was being purchased in the valley from the sales of agricultural produce, mainly bananas. Every weekend, somebody in the valley was buying a new vehicle. In Dennery North, you would hear something like Shewi Poyon, Alak Poyon. Different people would, every weekend somebody was buying a vehicle. And we know that it may never get back to that situation in terms of the general and total revenue that we get from agriculture. But certainly, people, better and more can be done in this country as it relates to agricultural production. More can be done in this valley as it relates to the revenue that we can derive from agricultural production. And we are in the silly season again. We are in the election season. And again, invariably, what you're going to hear people say on political platforms, Zoan is your kapui, all your agricultural produce have been spoiled and things, and then will elect us or vote for me or whatever, and then we are going to we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and year after year, decade after decade, we hear the same thing in the Dennery Valley. And one of the things we need to realize is we the people are the main problem in the valley, because when you look at it, the politicians that present themselves in the valley, they pay lip service to agriculture, but they do nothing about agriculture. They do nothing, yeah. Because you cannot be representing an agricultural community and not interested in development of agriculture in the place. It does not make any sense. It does not make any sense. But one of the worst things is this: the people who who actually make their living from agriculture are the ones who clap and support all the neglect that we see from politicians. The people, the very farmers, they deny themselves, they suffer in silence, and to praise politicians who make all their money every year. This has to stop. When you vote, you have to vote for something. You have to vote for something. You cannot just be voting and clapping for a political party just because you think that you love that party. The people need to understand that this thing is not about, it's not like, you're supporting Chelsea, or you're supporting this English league football team, or you're supporting this Spanish league football team, and you go and drink when the finals taking place. People sit down by a bar, laugh, make noise. Partisan politics is not like that. Election life is not like that. It is not as simple as some of you make it. This is about the life of people. This is about the survival of successive generations of St. Lucians. And people take these things lightly. How is it that you're living in an agricultural zone? You live in an agricultural belt. And the valley is one of the places that have produced the most agricultural produce, and now to the point where our lands are being forested, our farmlands are being forested, our farmlands are being taken over by snakes. And this does not cause a sense of urgency among the people who represent. And so one of the main problem with the development of agriculture in the valley and agricultural zone is the people. The people take these politicians and this political party as their god. They worship these politicians and these political parties. And the things that are important, the very bottom line, the thing, the trade that they use to make a living, they put that on the back burner and focus on supporting politicians who do not care about them. These politicians get a salary every month, but you do not get a salary every month. You have to make sure that you fight against pest and disease on your farm. You have to make sure that you even in dry season somehow your plants get water. You have to fight sometimes glut in production on the market. Sometimes you have to fight against a situation where you need the inputs and you cannot get it. It is not readily available in the country. You have, even right now, you have problems with getting farm workers. You have a problem with pre-deal larceny. We have a long list of problems and hostile situations that farmers have to encounter in this valley and in this country. But the farmers are not concerned about that. They are not making their requests known. All they do is blindly support politicians. How can you live in an agricultural area, in an agricultural zone, in an agricultural belt, in a region that was probably one of the most productive agricultural zone in St. Lucia, and then to have people in government who do not care about agriculture, who only pay lip service to agriculture? People are pushing everything else in this country except agriculture. What we have in a situation where politicians and people who represent us, their main interest is to push tourism. That is what is important to them. They have shown over years that they do not care about agriculture. Look at the amount of bridges that were destroyed by that hurricane. That hurricane that had where there was a lot of flooding, more than wind, and a lot of bridges were destroyed in agricultural areas. A lot of bridges were never fixed, and people want to gloat and clap and make noise how good things are in St. Lucia. But the problem is with these farmers, these same farmers who live in the banana belt, who live in the agricultural belt, and they worship these politicians. And no matter how the year after year, decades after decades, these politicians do next to nothing to support productive agriculture, production agriculture. They do very little and put all the effort and the time and the resources of the country to pay aeroplanes to bring people tourists down to this country. They spend all this budget money pushing tourism, and then very little is placed in agriculture, and you live in an agricultural zone, and you cannot articulate none of your needs in an election cycle. All your efforts and all your time is just designed to praise and to clap and to worship politicians, and your bottom line you don't care about it. These people is one of the reasons why we will be left behind. The idea that you live in an agricultural belt and an agricultural zone, and that is of no significance and importance to you, even in election cycle, but you are just there busy making noise in support of political parties. Anyway, keep the fire burning.